This is Obsidian ASMR. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. Hey, and welcome back to another Obsidian ASMR video. And today I'm going to be taking you through World of Warcraft Chronicle, Volume 1. And this was bought years and years and years ago. But I've been really enjoying my World of Warcraft recently, and I thought that you would all appreciate having a look through this book with me and spending some time learning the mythos of Azeroth, especially in anticipation for the new expansion, which is going to be the War Within. So let's have a look. This is supposed to be the original Azerothian continent, which fractured into the Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Northrend, and other isles like Kultiras, Zandalar, the Dragon Isles, Pandaria, to name but a few. I think that's all of them. And the Maelstrom ends up here. But originally, it used to be just the Eastern Kingdoms in the first couple of Warcraft games. Before then, they introduced Kalimdor, where the Horde come from. So on this page, you'll see the world tree, as well as a familiar name in the form of Chris Metzen. And this was published originally, by the look of things, in 2016, so relatively recently, to be fair. Should we read some of this? It's been amazing to watch the Warcraft universe grow and take shape over the past 20 years or so. What started out as a relatively simple game setting has become a lasting, vibrant world in its own right, one that is visited daily by millions of players from all around the globe. The world of Azeroth has been shaped by hundreds of craftsmen, designers, artists, and writers since its earliest inception. It's the product of many talented hands and many passionate voices, all bent towards creating a world so rich in detail, theme, and characterization that, well, you'd want to put on your own +6 boots of butt-kicking and give your all to defend it. At the core of it lies a real sense of history. The overarching story of Warcraft is a vast, intertwining patchwork of myths, legends, and world-shaping events that societies often clash before seeing a common humanity in each other. How earnest, well-intentioned heroes can often succumb to temptations of power. How failing to take responsibility for mistakes of the past can lead to calamity in the present. And these are just a few of the motifs that form the common thread of Azeroth's great history, expressed across disparate cultures, factions, and individuals over mythic spans of time. Cycles within cycles. It's from this top-down view that we can more clearly see the dangerous yet glorious horizons ahead. And even in the face of all of this history, I'm fairly certain that the adventure is only just beginning. I think that is why I am drawn to World of Warcraft in a nutshell. I'm a bit of a history nerd anyway. And one of my favourite phrases is that history does repeat itself. And more importantly, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. From a personal standpoint, there's a lot to be said for recognizing the cycles and the rhyme that history tends to have in our real world. And all too often, you'll find people are too proud, egotistical, to realize that they're just a drop in the ocean of our story. And whatever we've done, then the details may change, but ultimately somebody has done it before. Bit of a deep thought, I know, but I find that weirdly comforting in another way, that whilst, new inventions and technology can emerge, ultimately there's a lot that we can learn if we turn our eyes back and, really study the events that led us to where we are today. You may not agree, and that's perfectly valid, but that's where I come from. So this is a very key graphic that runs through the Warcraft universe, because effectively it spells out the battle between light and shadow, or the void. And we started out very much in the core reality of World of Warcraft, but a lot of it'll probably say this further on, but effectively a lot of the barriers that kept us locked in that reality were whittled away or weakened with the introduction of disorder or the Fel, conflicting with nature, the arcane, and ultimately leading to the establishment of necromantic energy. But with the move that we're heading to in the War Within, in terms of this diagram, we're fixating very much on the Titans and the Old Gods in the next 3 expansions, whereas previously we focused on the fight of the Naru and the Burning Legion. Yeah, so cosmology. Azeroth is but one small world in a vast universe, a realm filled with potent magics and mighty beings, and since the dawn of time, these forces have influenced Azeroth and the surrounding cosmos, setting the stars in motion and shaping the destiny of countless worlds and mortal civilizations. energy is innately volatile, and wielding it requires intense precision and concentration. Conversely, disorder is manifested as highly destructive, fell magic. This brutal and extremely addictive energy is fueled by drawing life from living beings. And finally, the elements. The elements of fire, air, earth and water serve as the basic building blocks of all matter in the physical universe. Shamanic cultures have long sought to live in harmony with or assert domination over the elements, but to do so they call upon the primordial forces of spirit and decay. Those who seek to bring balance to the elements rely on spirit, something referred to as the fifth element by the shaman or chi by the monks. This life-giving force interconnects and binds all the things in the existence as one. Decay is the tool of shamans seeking to subjugate and weaponize the elements themselves. I feel like this is all really good context. So, the Great Dark Beyond represents the physical universe. It is an infinite living realm composed of innumerable stars, worlds, and mortal civilizations. Azeroth, the world of Warcraft, is merely one of the countless worlds drifting through the vast reaches of the Great Dark Beyond. The Twisting Nether is an astral dimension that lies in parallel with the Great Dark Beyond. The forces of light and void bleed together at the boundaries of the Twisting Nether, engulfing this realm in perpetual strife. At times, the volatile magics that pervade the Twisting Nether intrude upon the physical universe, warping reality beyond measure. The Emerald Dream, which played a very key role in the Dragonflight expansion, is an ethereal realm of spirits and untamed nature that exists alongside the world of Azeroth. Incredible beings known as the Keepers forged the Emerald Dream to act as a map for the evolutionary path of Azeroth's flora and fauna. The two realms are bound as one. As life ebbs and flows across the physical world, the spiritual energies that saturate the Emerald Dream keep pace with it. Although tied to the physical world, the Emerald Dream is a place that most mortal minds would find alien and surreal, but some of those minds, by channeling druidic magic, I couldn't get my word out there, can enter a state of dreaming and consciously navigate the Emerald Dream. Their thoughts can also shape and influence portions of this verdant spirit realm, but the imprint that these dreamers leave behind is never permanent. In the dreamways, time and distance are mutable. Spirits flow like living winds through lush tracts of constantly shifting primordial woodlands, and what appears tangible one moment becomes intangible the next. Seemingly impermeable landmarks transform in the blink of an eye. The Shadowlands, like the Emerald Dream, is tangentially linked to the world of Azeroth. Yet, whereas the Emerald Dream represents life, the Shadowlands represents death. They are nightmarish realms of decay, labyrinthine spiritual planes teeming with the souls of the dead who have passed from the world of the living. The origins of the Shadowlands remain uncertain, but they have existed since mortal life first arose in the physical universe. Many believe that mortal souls are drawn into this dark place at the point of death, where they remain forever after. Still, others hope that their souls will go on to a brighter place, rather than languish for eternity within the cold confines of the Shadowlands. Then looking at the denizens of the cosmos, the Void Lords are monstrous entities composed of pure shadow energy. These beings are cruel and merciless, beyond mortal comprehension. Driven by an insatiable hunger, the Void Lords seek to devour all matter and energy in the physical universe. In their natural state, the Void Lords exist outside reality. Only the most powerful of these entities can manifest physical universe, and only for limited amounts of time. To maintain that presence in reality, the Void Lords must consume untold amounts of matter and energy, whereas the Naru are benevolent creatures of living holy energy. They're perhaps the purest expression of the light that exists in the great dark beyond. The Naru have vowed to bring peace and hope to all mortal civilizations and waylay the dark forces of the void that seek to engulf creation. The Titans are colossal, godlike beings composed of the primordial matter from which the universe was born. They roam the cosmos like walking worlds, imbued with the raw power of creation itself. The Titans use their incredible force to find the awake and awaken others of their kind, others who still slumber within the far corners of the great dark. Whereas the Burning Legion is the single most destructive force within the great dark beyond. The fallen Titan Sargeras created this vast demonic army to scour all creation. The Burning Legion moves from world to world, decimating everything in its path with devastating fell magic. But no one knows exactly how many worlds and mortal civilizations the demons have annihilated in their unholy burning crusade. The demons that fill their ranks are highly resilient. Their spirits are tethered to the twisting nether, making them extraordinarily difficult to destroy permanently. Even if a demon dies in the physical universe, its spirit will return to the twisting nether and manifest in a corporeal form once again. To truly destroy a demon's spirit, the creature must be killed in the twisting nether itself. In places where that volatile maelstrom bleeds into mortal worlds, or in areas inundated with the Burning Legion's energies. And finally, the old gods are physical manifestations of the void. They're nightmares incarnate, mountains of blighted flesh and writhing tentacles that grow like cancers within the world of the great dark. These malignant entities serve the Void Lords, and they live only to transform the worlds they infest into places of despair and death. The wild gods are primal manifestations of life and nature. They are creatures of two realms. The wild gods themselves inhabit the physical world of Azeroth, but their spirits are bound to the ethereal emerald dream. Many wild gods appear in the form of gargantuan animals, such as wolves, bears, tigers, or birds. The elemental spirits are primitive and chaotic beings of fire, earth, air, or water. They were some of the first sentient creatures to inhabit the nascent worlds of the waking universe. The elemental spirits appear in an almost infinite variety of shapes and sizes. Each of these creatures has a distinct personality and temperament, traits that are heavily influenced by a spirit's elemental nature. The presence of the fifth element, spirit, also affects the disposition of those elemental beings. A world with an overabundance of spirit may give rise to native elements who are passive and lack physicality. Conversely, a world with too little spirit may birth elementals who are highly aggressive and inherently destructive. And finally, the undead are former mortals who have died and become trapped between life and death. These tragic beings derive power from the necromantic energies that pervade the universe. Most undead are driven by vengeance and hatred to destroy the one thing that they can never have again: life. And there's a really, really glorious picture of the Titans in the cosmic plane, I guess. I won't read through all of this because I'll be here for way, way, way too long. some of the imagery, and here is the fallen titan Sargeras with his massive sword. Destroys a corrupted world soul. This was before he fell from his state in the Pantheon. This is, I believe, the Black Empire of Azeroth, with an old god and a lot of creatures from the void. Yeah, and here are some of the Titan-forged creatures fighting off the elementals like Ragnaros, and I think Poseidon, but I could be wrong. So in terms of Azeroth before it got split, this was the ownership, dare I say, of those lands who ruled, and this is split between those elemental lords and the old gods, so Ragnaros, Alakir, Therazine, and Nebulon would be the elementals, whereas Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron, Yashaj, and N'Zoth were the old gods that maintained the Black Empire. It's funny actually, we've met, I think, all of these throughout our adventures in Azeroth so far. I know we've met Cthulhu in the original game. Yogg-Saron was in Wrath of the Lich King. I'm pretty sure N'Zoth and Yashaj. I know we've seen N'Zoth. I think that was in Battle for Azeroth. But I'm not sure about Yashaj. The primary, or seemingly primary, antagonist in the War Within is going to be a character by the name of Xaladath, who some people claim will be a fifth old god when we've been told exclusively that it should be just four. So Galakrond is an interesting character, and I think he was one of the early dragons. Yeah, he was a proto-dragon who was so large, he basically was so powerful by the look of things that he dominated the majority of Kalimdor, or northern Kalimdor, and he was just huge, with an insatiable hunger. So much so he began to practice cannibalism and the corpses of the dead. Eating those fallen proto-dragon carcasses eventually warped Galakrond's mind and body with a necrotic affliction, leading to misshapen limbs and dozens of eyes sprouting across his gargantuan form. Those necrotic powers were then infused into Galakrond's victims, and they rose from the dead as mindless abominations. That led to his army swelling, or his minions swelling, to the point where eventually he conquered the entire continent of Kalimdor. It took Tyr, the mightiest of the Keepers, to notice the danger posed by Galakrond and to sort him out through the ordering of Azeroth, by the look of things. And that was when he gathered 5 proto-dragons, Alexstrasza, Neltharion, Malagos, Ysera, and Nosdormu, and provided them all with a, what do they call it, a oath stone, or effectively he imbued them all with order magic and turned them from proto-dragons into what we know as dragons today. So some of these are all areas of the map but they're also, well, quite a few of them are dungeons. So like Uldaman is a dungeon, Uldum is a dungeon, Anchorage is a raid, Ulduar is a raid, Sholazar Basin I don't think is. The Well of Eternity was from one of the earlier Warcraft games. Ungoro Crater is more of a region rather than anything else. Now here is the fallen titan Sargeras, commanding the Burning Legion. I don't know really anything about that. Keeper Thorin. To be fair, there's a lot in here. Oh, this is Surama. Is that right? Yeah, so that's the Troll Empire. And then, yeah, you start to see the Armani trolls, because effectively all of the races in Azeroth are pretty much descended from the trolls in one form or another. If I got that right, a lot of the elves are definitely descended from the trolls. But there were other... No, it's just the elves that are descended from the trolls, if I remember correctly. Whereas this is like Pandaria with the Mantids. And the Thunder King Leishan battling Zuen the White Tiger. And then the Zandalari went and attacked. It's really interesting the way that they've done this, because Pandaria and Chen Stormstout, I think it was a character that featured in some of the earlier Warcraft strategy games, but they really did build out that lore, which didn't really feature in the first 10 years of the Warcraft universe with the Mists of Pandaria expansion. And obviously it's got very East Asian themes, Chinese themes running through it. But they've done a good job of interweaving, like the Zandalari trolls and the Shah, which is obviously a form of void magic that permeated that zone of Azeroth and took a very specific form. Queen Azshara, who was in charge of the Well of Eternity and one of the Highborn, or Keldurai. She was and is a character. Yeah, she was in charge of the Night Elf Empire, and the Night Elves were the first descendant race, I think, from the trolls. But we can go through this all in much more detail in a bit by bit series. So this is Cenarius and Manaroth, who plays a very, very key role in the events leading just up to the Dark Portal and enslaving the orcs with fell magic. I have to say this has been... here we go. So the Sundered World, which is the most recognizable world to the player, or to the modern player, where we have Pandaria, which we were just talking about, the Eastern 3. Northrend, which was the location for Wrath of the Lich King, and there were some parts in Northrend in Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne. The Broken Isles, which were referred to, and I believe you played in Warcraft 2, because you go to the Tomb of Sargeras there. Zandalar, but there are some other areas, as I say, with like Kultiras and the Dragon Isles, but that hasn't appeared in this yet. Ooh, I want to say that this is a Blood Elf civilization, but I could be wrong. There's Alexstrasza, Nordrassil, the tree that gets burnt down during the second invasion of the Burning Crusade, or the Burning Legion, with Nosdormu and Ysera. Some of the Worgen. I don't really know much about the Worgen, if I'm honest. Quel'Thalas. Yeah. This was where the Blood Elves kind of came around, because they weren't originally called the Blood Elves. They were called I think it was the Kelderai. Yeah, so they were effectively an offshoot of the Night Elves after the destruction of the Well of Eternity, due to Queen Azshara's betrayal, and they moved over to the Eastern Kingdoms effectively and started to infiltrate areas where the trolls had previously inhabited, and obviously there was a bit of a long-standing hatred between them and the trolls due to Queen Azshara and some other things. Yeah, I didn't know Quel'Thalas means high home, but it did get ravaged, sadly, a little bit later on. Yeah, so there's the Sunwell and Quel'Thalas with Silvermoon City. At this point, the Amani Empire of Trolls and Zulaman was still very, very strong in the northern part of the Eastern Kingdoms, but you then started to see the Arathor, which were humanity, or supposedly humans, starting to take root. But this originally was, I think, dwarves and gnomes in the Arathi. No, I'm wrong. They were humans, but they had an alliance, I believe, with the dwarves, led by Thoradin. Yeah. No, Thoradin. Thoradin was a human. I know that the dwarves kind of settle around here as well, very much at this point, which is where Ironforge, I think, is, which is a wonderful name for a dwarf city. The First Guardian is really important, which I believe was Elodie. The Sargeras, Guardian of Tirisfal, but that would set in motion events that would lead to the Aegwyn and her son Medivh, the Prophet Medivh, who is one of the absolute pinnacles of the lore. I didn't know that Dire Maul originally was called Eldrathalas, so I need to read up on that as well. Lordaeron is very well known because of a certain infamous prince, but we can get onto that at a different point when we go through in greater detail, because I feel like this would make a good series reading through this. There's Aegwyn versus the Avatar of Sargeras, and that's a very interesting story in and of itself. Yeah, so I wasn't far off Ironforges there. Karazhan is super interesting, but that is a very kind of brief, it was an introduction to the main players in the Warcraft universe, but as you can see there's a lot of detail in here, and I'm happy to kind of go through it and talk more about Warcraft if you're interested. I would love to learn more about it. I won't profess to have read this from cover to cover, but I have cherry-picked certain portions of the history that are interesting to me personally. Yeah, I would love to learn more about the Worgen and whatnot, but hey, let me know in the comments below if you would, too. And otherwise, if you liked listening to me ramble and give you a very high-level overview of some of the key events that happened in the World of Warcraft mythology, why not give this a like? Comment below what you'd like to hear next, and whether there is specific you'd want me to just start from the start and go all the way through, or whether you would want specific areas of the lore. And if you're new, why not join the party and click the subscribe button, which I believe is down here, and see what comes out in the next couple of weeks and months, etc., as I gear back up to where I was in March. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me, and here at Obsidian ASMR, I really do value all of you and all of your comments, and I'm so sorry that I'm not consistent with uploads at the minute. As I've said previously, I've had some big life events, and there's a lot going on, and yeah, I'm trying to do this when I've got the time, but at the minute that isn't too often. But please bear with me, and I appreciate your patience, and soon we'll be back firing on all cylinders, I promise. So, with that being said, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye for now, everyone.